What up,
What
everybody?
up? How's everybody doing?
We have a very special guest today. We have
yes.
Chris is the guy who introduces. So go.
All right, folks. What up? How are you doing? If you don't know Sheila Kennedy, you should, folks. Let me tell you, Big Brother 9. Do you remember? I do. I know Rob does, and I sure hope everybody does. Sheila, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, Chris.
Good.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you got going on right now that everybody about?
Interesting enough, like, of course, everybody's been locked down since March of last year. So we've been through this craziness. I traveled to New York before everything started happening. It was like in the end of 2019. They had me fly to New York they had a screening of my movie, Ellie, that I did with Shelley Winters, Pat Paulson, George Goebel, Edward Albert Jr. I know these are like kind of old folks. So
back in 1994, right?
What's that?
80s.
80s or 90s?
80s.
80s.
This is 80s. And it was Shelley Winters. Of course, a lot of them now have passed away. So yeah. I think I'm the only one living in that movie.
You were just a baby then.
What's that?
You were just a baby then.
I was just a baby. I was going up for Pet of the Year, and I did this movie in Dallas, Texas, and it was fabulous. And speaking of social media, I'm in touch with Edward Albert Jr. If anyone's curious as to who he is, he did Butterflies of Free with Goldie Hawn years ago, years ago in the 70s. And he played a blind guy, and his dad was Eddie Albert, the one that was on Green Acres. Yep. So, I'm aging myself right now. I'm in my late 50s. I'm still not quite 60 yet. I have a birthday coming up. I'm still in my 50s.
There you go.
50s?
But what's that?
You're in your 50s?
I'm in my late 50s, yeah.
Not a day over 39.
Well, thank you.
Exactly.
So I'll pay you later, Rob. But I was doing stuff which was so bizarre because I thought, okay, for the last 9 years, I've been basically a caretaker and a personal assistant. That's why I went to Las Vegas to take care of a woman who had Alzheimer's, that was a teacher in Flint, Michigan. And she wrote all these children's books, and she was amazing. The family hired me, and I went out there, and I loved her, but she did pass away. So once she passed away, I decided to come back to LA and California, and I got a place in Palm Springs. Well, I was doing infomercials and stuff like that. That's how I was making money, because I couldn't go back to caretaking because of, the coronavirus and elderly people getting it. But what happened was I got all these phone calls from different sources. Like, there was a film company in London that just got a hold of me a couple months ago. And they said, when everything kind of calms down, we want to come to Palm Springs and interview you about the 80s and the rock stars you dated. And I'm like, are we really going to go down that road? And they're like, yeah, we want to know everything. Would you be up to us they're coming out next month.
Oh, nice.
The middle of next month. So I'm doing a documentary on 80s, the chicks that dated the rock stars. So
hold on, wait. I know the rock stars, but I heard a rumor, don't know how true it is, so I wanted to ask.
Okay.
That's just me. Scott Baio. Did you date him?
She was on the street.
Well, if you must know, yes, I dated Scott Baio before he became a Trumper. But yeah, I actually met Scott Baio in the 80s. I had a bid part on Charles in Charge, and Willie Ames introduced us, and he said, you guys should really hook up. You have a lot in common. I go, we do? Like what? And we ended up hooking up, but he was kind of look, Scott Baio just to clear everything up with Scott Baio. Scott Baio was totally dating Pamela Anderson when we hooked up. So I was really like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Because the day of the shooting, you know how you rehearse and everything before the show on Charles in Charge, I had to make out with him. I was in this little harem scene. Seems to be the story of my life. harems. But I kiss him and then he's like really kissing me. And I'm like, oh God, that's not good, is it? They're going to cut this. And we ended up hooking up in his dressing room. And then we hooked up a couple more times. And the actual taping of it, because you do it a couple of weeks in advance, he shows up walking hand in hand with Pamela Anderson. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Oh.
Like, are you effing kidding me? Like, you're with Pamela and you're doing me in your dressing room? Like, what's that about?
Wow.
And so that was actually, and then I went on his show. Before I went on Big Brother, I went on Scott Baio's 45 and Single.
Right.
Oh.
And it was all bullshit, by the way.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because we had hooked up before he even got with his fiance, this girl. And it turns out she was pregnant. So I didn't get invited back to the second reality show that he was doing.
Oh my gosh, your life.
I wonder why. I wonder why.
I don't know.
So let me add, so let's dive in a little bit to your modeling career. How did you go through the process of doing that? What made that happen? How did that happen?
Well, I think since I was a little girl, you know, I always wanted to do the modeling, the acting and singing, because I saw Edward Albert Jr. in Butterflies Are Free with Goldie Hawn. You got to check that movie out. It is so incredible. He's great in it. And I was like, I'm going to marry him someday, Mom. I'm going to kiss him. And she's like, you're so silly. Stop all that nonsense. But that was my dream, was to act, model, and sing. And I was 5'2". I was overweight. I was bullied as a child in school. And this was Memphis. And so I was like, the minute I get a chance to get the hell out of Memphis, I'm out of here. So I did. I got out, went and moved with an aunt and my grandmother in Las Vegas. Here we go, Las Vegas again. It seems to be the theme. And that was the 70s. So I dropped out of school. My aunt was supposed to put me back in school. She never did. So I kind of went on my own and started working little jobs here and there. And then I became a camera girl. And someone spotted me when I was doing the camera work. And they asked me if I was a model. And I was like, duh. I go to Barbizon. Like, I'm in Barbizon, okay? And they're like, yeah, all right. Well, anyway, so
oh my God.
They're like, okay, she's perfect. So this guy was like, I think I could get you a modeling gig and you'd have to fly to Chicago though and get test shots. And I'm like, okay, this sounds fabulous. So we meet for dinner and he was like, oh, I'm going to tell you right now, you have to have sex with me. I'm not going to give you this connection. And I started crying. I was like, why does everybody want to sleep with me? And he's like, okay, don't cause a scene in this Chinese restaurant in Las Vegas. Oh my God. like, you know, Vegas, you can do whatever you want, right? But he comes out into the parking lot and he goes, okay, here's the guy's number. Turns out he's like big time. He was big time. His name was Stem Malinowski. He shot Christy Brinkley. He shot Rene Russo. He shot all the upcoming models.
Wow.
In the 80s. Like, oh my God. And he said, okay, you've got to get here, get yourself to Chicago and I'll test shoot you. Well, I show up because I'm living in Las Vegas. You don't wear coats or anything. It was 18 inches of snow in Chicago. So I show up and it's him and his assistant, who's a creepy dude, and Jimmy, the creepy dude. and Stan Malinowski, and we go to his flat in Chicago. Oh my God. Like he was like before his time. The whole place was black, sunken living room, all black leather, huge, massive, like painting of Christy Brinkley in a bikini and fly fishing boots on. You know, I'm like, oh my God. Like, this guy's for real. He's for real. But then he pulls me aside and he goes, you're nothing like what I thought you would be. He goes, you're too short. You're overweight. I don't like your hair. It's too short. I had the Demi Moore like ghost thing going on. And he goes, your skin is bad. And I'm 18 years old. So yeah, that's probably true. My skin was bad. And I was big boned. Okay. so long story short, he said, I don't know what I can do for you. I'm going to have to send you back to Las Vegas. He goes, I got 2 things I can do for you right now. I'll send some Polaroids to, he goes, I can't even photograph you. And he goes, because I just can't. He goes, I'm sorry. And I was devastated. And he sends 2 Polaroids to Hugh Hefner, and he sends 2 Polaroids to Bob Guccione in New York. So Hefner supposedly was moving his office from Chicago to LA. He never got the Polaroids. He never got them. So it was meant to be. Bob got them, flew me to New York, and the rest was history.
Right.
Nice.
I lived in the mansion for like, 10 years or so.
Were you there that long?
Yeah, I was. I was there from the time I was 18 going on 19. And I left, I was there in the 80s, like 79, like towards the end of the year. It was cold. And so 80 to 90. And then I ended up having my son. So but I wrote a book about it. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble's website.
It's right here. The link's right here. We got the link.
Oh, good.
I'm going to go get the book.
It's all in there.
I can come down to see you, meet you, and I'm going to get an autograph, right?
I hope so.
Like pictures, we can hang out.
Yes,
cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Love it. Things open up and become more safe, obviously.
Yep.
But I mean, listen, people always think, oh, it must have been horrible for you. No, it was pretty amazing because I came from poverty. I was very, very poor. I was very naive and, it wasn't what I had planned on doing, but I did it. And the photos that Bob Guccione did of me, which I'm going to start posting more because I've got some left, like that are on slides or on like the little chromes. I'm going to start posting them on Instagram. I need to get them kind of restored because they're in really bad condition. But, I traveled to Europe when I was 18 years old. We did my whole layout in Europe. Paris was amazing. Italy was amazing. And I was on 4 covers and made Pet of the Year in 1983. And it was probably the most amazing experience in my life. Right. It's really difficult now being the age I am and being locked up and not being able to travel and not be able to do anything. So, I mean, it's been quite depressing.
Yeah,
so
I get that. That's why we started the show. We were bored. We needed to do something.
No, but you needed to. It's the thing to do now.
Yeah. So the acting, I mean, you did obviously became the Pet and you did some covers and stuff. Did that lead into the acting? And you did Elle, but you also did Spring Break and you were European Vacation and
European Vacation. I was
let's go right there.
Girl.
I mean, how much did you get to talk to Chevy and Beverly and
That's funny.
Beverly's the one that I'm like, I would love to talk to her. She seemed like she was cool.
Well, the thing is that I didn't really get to talk to her that much. I really talked to Chevy. And by the way, we shot the ending of the movie, which was The Pig and the Pope, where they win the vacation. Yeah. And they decide not to take the prizes. They want to take the vacation. It's actually a really interesting story because I had auditioned for John Landis for the movie that was about the Russians and Spies Like Us.
Oh,
Spies Like Us.
Yes.
Yeah, and that model,
and Chevy Chase.
I had like Yeah, yeah, but that model that got it, she had really big boobs, and like,
oh, you were
like,
going to be the Russian girl.
I was going to be the Russian girl, and they were going to just dub my accent because I'm from the South. I'm from Memphis, and so John Landis was so nice to me. He goes, "I'm just going to tell you right now, you're too young for the part. You know, we're looking for something else," which after I saw the movie, I saw how big her boobs were. And I was like, well, let's face it, my boobs were not. She was a model. She was a big time model. I wasn't. I was still 5'2", and she's gorgeous. The actress that the model actress that ended up getting it.
Right.
But he goes, I'm going to send you over to a casting director that's doing a movie right now with Chevy Chase. And I was like, oh my God, really? And he goes, yeah, just go over there and interview with her. Boom, on the spot, they gave me the part because of John Landis.
Oh,
and I was like, yes. And I still get residuals for that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, Chevy Chase was amazing. But by the end of the movie, which was my scene, they couldn't stand him because he really was the shit. Like, he controlled that whole, set.
Wow.
And they were done with him.
Yeah.
You can imagine, he was probably on 24/7 in Europe. So, yeah. But it turns out that I made friends with Rusty, who's Jason Lively, who's, what's her name's? That's his sister is the one that's married. Blake Lively. Yeah. So I stayed in touch with Rusty over the years, and it turns out I didn't even get to meet him. We found out years later, William Zabka is my son's godfather. We were in the same movie and didn't even know it. Oh. Yeah, Billy Zabka, the one that's doing Cobra Kai right now. Wow. He's I've known him since I was in my 20s. I met him in New York.
Oh,
you know.
And he always he's a great bad guy.
Oh yeah. He's an amazing guy.
In what he does. I just love Billy's awesome. Love it.
And he's the opposite of that character. Right. He's a Christian, he's married, he's got 2 kids. He's still involved in my son's life, even though they've moved out of LA. Yeah. And he's shooting the 4th season of Cobra Kai.
Yes, amazing. I can't wait for that to come out.
It's so good. Like, I'm so proud of him. Like, he's worked his ass off. He deserves to be working again, So
that's incredible.
Yeah. So we worked on that movie and didn't even know it until later. It's like, he goes, oh my God, I'm Jack in that movie. And I go, I know. I'm picking the pop girl.
That's hilarious. And now he's the godfather of your son. That's so good.
He's the godfather of my son. So, it's just a very small circle. Yeah. It's 6 degrees of separation. So
gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
The next one I want to ask you about, because now we're going to get into Big Brother. I mean,
okay.
Let
me have some of my wine before we get into Big Brother. Wine.
That a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Smoldering Sheila Kennedy drinking a little wine before she's going to get into Big Brother.
Yes.
My water.
And there you water.
I'll have some water too.
There's obviously an application process. You know about it. You're getting excited about it because you wanted to get on the show. How'd you find out?
Okay. So that's a cute story too. I'm glad you're asking me these things because I want to talk about them, but everybody was like, they're like, okay, that was 12 years ago. I was online and I saw a audition thing for, hey, do you want to be on a dating show and meet the love of your life and win $500,000? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, that's
sign me up.
I'm in. I've got a guy over here that won't get sober, and he's just talking shit to me, and it's like, I don't need this. I need $500,000 right now to meet my soulmate. So I call up and I say, okay, where do I sign up? And it's interesting because it wasn't Robin, it was Ted. He does the casting for Canada now. So he used to do it with Robin Cass. So it was Ted, and he goes, hey, so which show are you calling about? I said, the dating show where you meet the love of your life and, you win $500,000. He goes, oh, I'm really sorry. He goes, that show's already been cast. And I was like, oh, okay. Now get this. It was on Craigslist. Okay. I guarantee you they're not posting stuff on Craigslist anymore. But Parker actually got on the show from Craigslist too. He saw the same ad I saw.
Wow.
So it turns out that he was like, hey, well, okay, that show's already been cast, but would you be interested in coming in to read for come in audition for Big Brother? And I was like, Big Brother, where have I heard that? Like, what is that from? I think I've seen this show. And he goes, yeah, it's where they're all in a house, blah, blah, blah. They're locked up for 3 months. And, they all like try to figure it all out. And, but you could end up winning $500,000 if you make it to the end. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So that other show's been cast, but this is $500,000 too.
Right. That's the kid.
He is like, yeah, he goes, so have you seen this show? And I go, yeah, I think I saw this dude that looked like a really bad version of Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. And he, like, some girl threw some tea on him, or he burned her with a cigarette, like they were laying in the backyard doing nothing. He goes, yeah, that's Evil Dick. And I go, yeah, it's stupid. And he was like, he goes, come on, please tell me you'll come in and meet us. And I said, okay, sure, sure, I'll come in and audition for it. So this was MySpace was happening.
Right.
Like there was no Twitter, Instagram, what they have now. Like, all the things they have now. It was MySpace.
Right.
And then Facebook was just.
Napster was then too, right?
That's it, Napster, because my son made a playlist for me on that you can no longer do.
Right.
Napster was okay with it, but other companies were not okay with it. But my son did my whole page, and then he helped me with my Facebook as well, because he was in that generation of doing all that. And I'm like, okay. I go, I'll come in. And I went in, and I must have been the last person they were casting, because I did not go through this whole thing that you go through, like sending a tape. I mean, they'd be really pissed off at me telling this right now, but I did it the right way. I mean, I did the way most people do it. It's just that it was quicker.
Right.
There were all the producers sitting in a circle, and they had a camera on me, and they had me sitting in a chair, and it was cold at the time. So I had like a sweater on and jeans. And they were like, so tell us about yourself, Sheila. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what do you want me to tell you?
What do you want me to
And they're like, well, this is death till death do you part. Are you in a relationship? And I said, well, that's a really tricky question. I said, I am, but I'm not. And they go, well, why is that? And I go, well, first of all, I just want to meet a guy that doesn't have 3 DUIs and lost his license and can't drive and is an alcoholic and, is just a normal guy. Can I just meet a normal guy? And they were like, oh my God, she is insane. And then they were like, well, tell us about your personal life. Like, what are some of the things that you've done that are interesting? And I go, well, years ago, I was in Penthouse. And they're like, really? Now they're thinking I'm bullshitting them, because this was before everybody was Googling people.
Right.
And and they do have people that do background checks on you and stuff. So I said, yeah, I was in Penthouse. I lived in a mansion. I was pet of the year. I was in about 3 or 4 issues. And I went to Europe. Bob Guccione shot all my photos. And I said, and then I went to Brunei when my son was 2. And they're like, Brunei, the country? And I said, yeah, I met the Prince of Brunei, and I was in that little harem of women, and I got paid like a half I got paid like you know, 6 figures. I can't really tell you exactly how much because I don't want to get in trouble. And they're like, okay, wait a minute. Wait. They're like, back up.
You and
So
those herons.
You actually met the Prince of Brunette, Prince Jeffrey, and you stayed in this palace, and there were tons of girls there from all over the world, and you made 6 figures from being over there for a month and a half. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And they're like, okay. They're like, this girl is full of shit. So like, let's end this quickly, you know. And I said, look, they said, what would you do if you actually won the money? I said, well, you know, my son's a teenager. I've been renting my whole life. I'd love to buy a small little condo and, you know, in Los Angeles somewhere. I know LA's really expensive, but that's what I really want to do with the money. And they're like, okay, well, thank you very much. Have a good day. We'll be in touch. I leave, and the minute I leave, I'm like, Ted comes to me and he hands me like a Bible. He goes, you got to fill out this paperwork immediately. Okay, immediately. And I go, oh, okay, I'll do that. And I go home and I say to my son and my fiance, ex-fiance, I go, oh my God, this was so horrible. I'm not going to get this. I mean, I was terrible. They asked me all these personal questions. It was stupid. Then they called and they said, we need you to watch some back issues on YouTube or wherever it was. And I said, okay. So I watched it and I was like, oh my God, no, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. And all this stuff they said about Evil Dick and his daughter, I was just like, all these trolls online. I was like, no, oh God, no. And then my son goes, well, Mom, don't worry about it, because if you got in, you wouldn't last 2 weeks. And I said, why is that, son? He goes, first of all, you have road rage. And he goes, and you're a bitch.
Damn.
This is my teenage son. I'm like, thanks, son.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to be driving a car. Okay. I'm going to be stuck in a house for 3 months. He goes, you won't last. He said, trust me, you won't. and my ex-fiance said, I don't even know what to say. He goes, I'm so not down for this. And I go, are you down for watching my son if I have to go for 3 months? And he goes, sure, but I really don't want to.
Wow.
So then that was history. They waited a week or two. All of a sudden, Ted kept calling me and saying, you can't tell anyone. And I go, who am I going to tell? Yeah. People on MySpace? I was like, I'm not on social media. Yeah. Who in the hell am I going to tell? He goes, you've made it to the top 20. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I guess that's good. But it turns out that they just showed up. I was told in advance to pack for about 3 months. But I was like, this isn't going to happen. So I had a suitcase in the corner open. There was a couple of things in it. And all of a sudden, these camera guys just knock on my door and they're like, hey, we came to film you. And I go, for what? And they go, Big Brother. And I go, oh, so I'm going to be on the show. And they're like, well, not necessarily. We need to get some footage of you and your son at the skate park or whatever. And I was like, okay, great. So we go. And they literally pull out the key. They literally surprised me. I was like, oh my God, no. I go, holy shit.
Oh, shoot.
I'm going to have to leave. And my son was so upset. Like he was literally almost crying because the cameras weren't on him then. But he was just like, oh, Mom, no. He goes, what am I going to do? I need money. I got George will take care of it. Yeah. I was like, don't worry about it. But so that's what happened. And I have to honestly say that after being teamed up with Adam, I wanted to leave the first night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I begged Allison to let me off the show.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, I was so devastated.
You could see it. You know, you were really wanting to leave. And Just reminiscing back to that, because I remember that, all that stuff, and I was like, God, this is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that my son had a disability with his eyes, and it's called nystagmus. He still has it. He's now he'll be 30 years old. God, I can't even freaking believe that now, saying that coming out of my mouth, and April 25th. So he had this disability with his eyes, and kids made fun of him and called him the R word. And when Adam used that word for the children that he was like raising money for autism for the parents so they could buy wheelchairs and take them to the dentist and get their hair done. Like, I couldn't even believe he said that word. So that was literally within 24 hours of being in the house and locked down.
Yeah.
And I ran in the dining room. I was bawling. I said, I do not want my son seeing this. I said, my son cannot see this. You have no idea what he went through when he was a child. He was called that because his eyes would shake, and he wore bifocals, So they were like, don't worry. No one saw it. You can go and talk to everybody that's in the house and explain to them why you got really upset and how you hate Adam. And I mean, literally, Allison Groder like talked me off the ledge because I wanted out.
Yeah.
Day one, I wanted out.
Wow.
And then it started to become fun after a while.
Is there just that much boredom, or are they stimulating you in there?
No, it's a lot of downtime. That's what viewers don't understand, and fans. There's so much downtime. Yeah. I think I made a comment when I was on someone's podcast, and I said, I wanted to chew my arm off because I was so bored. I wanted to see if I would actually bleed. And I mean, there's a lot of downtime. But the problem with Big Brother is that how they cast it. I was the oldest female, and Dick was the oldest male that won Big Brother. He had told me that there's been older, like in the beginning when it was 1 and 2, but after 1 and 2 and Allison Groder took over, they started casting these 21-year-old like models and influencers. And that's why I think the show is shitty now, because I wish they'd go back to the Chicken George and the people like that, because listen, let's face it, they cast Rennie after me. They cast Kathy. They cast Jerry. I mean, whether you like old people or not, they're drama.
Right.
And Canada got it right. They've been casting very diverse groups of people, even this year for Canada, BB9 Canada, fantastic. It's a diverse group. Not so much in US, like UK casted older people as well. And so I think that's where they got it wrong. But I was the oldest, so I always felt like I was the odd man out.
You weren't old though when you were on the show.
I was 45 going now, but I was old compared to what they were casting, and it just kept going downhill. Like after me, they cast a couple older people, but it's rare,
right?
And one person, and then they always got evicted. They were the first one out. Like, let's get the old person out. But I was 45 going on 46. I was actually turned 46 in the house. And that was the hardest part, I think. It was just the stress of it, of being around a bunch of kids that were really brats. And I only got along with certain people in the house. I had my favorites, and those were the ones that I sort of like gravitated towards.
Right.
But I'm still friends with Crazy James. I talk to Crazy James all the time. I'm friends with Natalie. You wouldn't think, but Chatty Natty, we're friends. I still speak with Adam.
Okay.
Yeah, like he's turned his life around, so I'm really proud of him. Who else on the show? I was talking to Chelsea for a while, but she just kind of went MIA. I don't know what happened to her. Parker, I see all the time. I just saw Parker a couple months ago. He was out here. with his husband.
Oh, great. Well,
yes, he's married. So yeah. So, but would I do it again? Yeah. I totally do it again.
That
I was
gonna ask. How funny.
And then you just went ahead and said it.
Yep. That a girl.
Yeah, I do it for $1 million. Like you would think that with, Amazing Race and all these other shows that they would up the ante
inflation. Come on.
What?
They need to raise that prize money up. The inflation.
Well, they do. These people are in there for 3 months. That's a long time. We're the longest between Survivor and Amazing Race. We're the longest on TV that, in a house, stuck in a house. I think it's worth $1 million if you get to the end.
Yeah.
And start giving the third place winner some money too.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be a little nicer?
There you go.
Here's Julie Chen at the end of my season. I'm third place. I'm in a fetal position. I don't even want to go out and vote for any of these assholes. And she goes, okay, when we come back, we're going to announce America's favorite juror. So comes back and then they go, hey, so it's between Sheila, you made second place, but James, crazy James, you won the $25,000.
Yeah, third and
I'm
then
like, thanks,
second.
Julie. You had to tell me I was second place. Thanks.
Oh.
Thanks. Okay.
Kick me while I'm down.
Just kick me. Just put a hole in my head.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah. So
what's going on now? Are you trying to get back into some film or shows, or are you just kind of enjoying life?
I'm laying low. I should be retiring right now. I'm kind of laying low. I mean, Palm Springs is a great place to be, I mean, the weather's beautiful. It does get really hot like Vegas here, but my son and I are going to celebrate his 30th birthday in Vegas. We're going to be very safe. Nice. I'm going to see some family that's out there and a friend of mine. And pretty much this company based out of London, they're flying out. They should be out in mid-March to film this documentary. So maybe something will come of that. I do want to do another book. I have like a couple ideas. I might even do a zine. I've thought about that. Just to get it out there about, dating in the pandemic and, and aging out, like being older and having to date in this crazy ass world of millennials. Yeah. So, I'm still single. It's crazy.
No way.
The worst having to date with all this bullshit. So, with the mask and the distancing.
Hey, how are you doing? What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
What? Oh, it's so nice to meet you. Where did you say you were from? Yeah, exactly.
You have great eyes.
But they're going to show my movie again. Like I just talked to the people that bought Ellie, and I did the first turn on with them. Trauma. Have you heard of Trauma?
No.
They do all these like really wacky B movies. Like they're known for Toxic Adventure or something. And they've done all these. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah, they're really like in that whole thing. They're always at Comic-Con and stuff, but they're going to show my movie Ellie again. They showed it in Brooklyn a year ago, and they're showing it at a drive-in somewhere in Pennsylvania. But now, since with everything that's going on with COVID, you can't go to movie theaters. So all these people are going to drive-ins to see these movies, these sort of like, B movies. And so that they're going to do that, and they want to do some projects with me too. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm trying to stay busy.
Thank you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Love you to death. I'm glad
to be
with you. I'm gonna go grab that book and read it. Hope to meet with you sometime soon. That would be really cool. And whatever you're gonna do soon and in the future is fantastic. you know, I just love who you are and that you